Bohol, an island situated in the central Philippines, is a popular tourist destination with scuba divers. But to some of the locals here, diving is not about beautiful corals and colorful fishes.
Wa to 25-30. Nya lubog nga murag nga nakaduol, duol murag di na maklaro ba. Mura naman jug di na masabot ba. Siwa.
It is about making a living. They are compressor divers. Imagine putting your own life at risk several times a day in order to provide for your family. That's the reality of being a compressor diver. With just an ordinary plastic hose connected to a rusty compressor, often salvaged from old air conditioners and fridges, these fishermen dive as deep as 30 to 40 meters to catch fish with just the meager air pumped through these tubes. Known as one of the most dangerous methods of fishing, this stripped-down method of diving has no regulators, mouthpieces, or any other safety gadgets that ordinarily help divers.
The poverty situation in fishing communities, either in the Philippines or some neighboring countries here in Southeast Asia, is very dire that they are even not able to buy the basic fishing implements.
Diving to depths of more than 20 meters, these compressor divers do not have adequate safety equipment.
For small-scale fishermen, if they have no other alternative, meaning to say that they would not be able to buy hook and lines or gill nets, which are sustainable methods of fishing. In some cases, they are too poor even to buy those very cheap fishing implements. Then they have no other alternative but to get into illegal fishing.
Compressor diving has been banned in the Philippines since 2002 due to the high risks divers are exposed to. Air is supplied to the divers via lengths of plastic hoses connected to a used air compressor salvaged from fridges or air conditioners. The delivery end of the hose is simply held by the diver's teeth. Not only do these divers breathe contaminated air, but the hoses run for lengths of over 40 meters and can easily get entangled, twisted, and damaged. A recipe for disaster when you're 20 meters underwater with no other air supply.
This one is a Bajau village.
Bajau means man of the seas. Traditionally, the Bajau people are sea gypsies, traveling by boat from one island to the next in search of a fishing harvest. As a school teacher, Marifer is helping educate the next generation of the Bajau people so that they will have options in life other than fishing.
Pero sa mga unang panahon, yung papa ko talaga, hindi gumagamit yun ng compressor. Mano-mano lang talaga yun. At saka yung bubu lang talaga ang hanap buhay nila dati.
Bubu means to free dive in Bajau. In the past, the Bajau people would free dive, often to depths of 20 meters in a single breath, and stay for several minutes in search of fish.
They could stay in the water something like 10 minutes without any air compression whatsoever. But if that's the case, then there would not be any problem with that because it's just free dive, skin dive. There's no problem with that part. The problem is if they are using air hoses when they're staying at the bottom.
But as the world got more expensive, the Bajau people had to keep up with the cost of living. They had to find ways to catch more fish. They found compressor diving.
The main reason would be to stay longer underwater. That's the main consideration for fishermen.
Compressor divers face the same risks as scuba divers. The difference between the two lies in the safety measures taken to minimize these risks.
Diving is actually a very safe sport. However, there's a lot of inherent risks involved because, we talk about decompression sickness. That's one of the major things that will happen for scuba divers. Basically, decompression sickness is a problem faced by divers when we do not follow safety precautions. What happens is the nitrogen that we breathe in using a compressed air will basically get absorbed into our body tissues. The worst case is whereby we get air embolism, whereby the air actually rushes into the bloodstreams. You run a risk of full body paralysis or even worst case convulsion and death.
Scuba divers are armed with much knowledge and equipped with many safety gadgets to prevent decompression sickness. One such gadget is the dive computer that tells the depth and duration of each dive. Costing between $500 to $2,000, it is beyond the reach of the compressor divers.
That's essentially one of the problems. When they go down at sea, the first thing you have to know the depth. They should have the submersible pressure gauge so that they're able to determine what depth they are in. Because each particular depth, at a maximum, say something like 105 feet, you could only stay there for 5 minutes. The fishermen don't know about these things because they're not trained to do recreational diving. They only know that if they could breathe underwater, then they could stay there for almost eternity. Then that's the problem. There are also some reports that fishermen who ascend too fast from the bottom of the ocean essentially got paralyzed and some essentially died for that particular reason.
Abdul Osmenya has been working as a compressor diver for decades. Some years ago, he lost the function of his left arm and leg.
At lokal stud ko ito malaman nilanakan ko maglete pala ako sino ako minapaluwa sa pambakatambalan.
Ay, doktor, mahaling balakay makalangan.
During his consultation with the doctor, Abdul was told that his paralysis was the result of compressor diving. But he has another theory.
Sino ako, may kuno ako magbuhat. Napadiwakan ko na.
Naangay ko no.
Ito ko, akong tulang ko.
Meron na, marami na. Kaso lang, yung mga badyaw, pasok dito, labas dito, labas dito. Kasi yun na nga ang, kumbaga, yung madaling hanap buhay. Kasi dati yung mga badyaw dati, hindi na ay kontento lang sa maliit na bagay. Pero sa ngayon, hindi na sila kontento sa maliit na huli. Gusto nila marami.
For many years now, Abdul has been unable to leave his house. He spends most of his days sitting in the same place watching the sea. The onus of bringing home the bacon has fallen upon his sons, the eldest of whom is already a compressor diver. His younger son, Lopez, is soon to follow suit.
Asakin man no makompresor na ngay gikami account eh.
Napagkatan.
Permiro pagini mo. Ini ka bulus-luksol po niya. Mura ka makainom kag tubig ba?
Banjing started compressor diving when he was 13 years old. With 27 years under his belt, there are few situations he hasn't encountered.
Sa dagat ang akong nakakuha na ako sa akong lawas. Akong pananaw ba nga, mura sa kanang permiro kay pangpang mangod. Dive ko na, tubay sigo 30. Nya lubog nga murag, nga nakaduol murag di na maklaro ba. Ning hawid ko na. Nya ang kuha na kung ginawa kay mura naman jug di na masabot ba. Siwa. Nya hangangin ko sa galain akong ginawa na utro na. Muto ako na hinay kog saka. To hinay na kog saka. Pag abot ko sumabok kay mo ang akong kuan mo lang gihapon murag kog sa hangin murag kog apas lang gihapon ko sa hangin. Muto pagsaka na ko, pagsaka na ko. Hinlingkod ko sa kilid ang akong namatngunan nga nakalingkod ako sa kilid sa sakayan. Pagkatumba na ko, wala ko kabaw.
After just 3 months of rest, Banjeng went back to compressor diving. But today, he encounters a different problem.
May problema nino.
Lima yung bumot ko rin. Hindi na mo tuyok pa.
Tinitindog ko nuno.
Hindi naman mo. Bala maliyo ito eh. Bala parang maliyo ito paungot na ako.
His air compressor has broken down and he needs to buy new equipment. It takes Banjeng 45 minutes on the jeepney to get to town, where he is to go shopping. A brand new compressor will cost around 35,000 pesos. Banjeng can only afford 1,000. He can only afford to shop in the scrap yards.
Suksok ka rin. Lock mo na siya.
We have no lock and then we have no like this.
Second-hand air compressors often come with problems. Banjeng has to find one with the least damage, as his life depends on it. After spending an entire afternoon hopping from scrapyard to scrapyard, he finally finds one in a junkyard selling used car parts. This air compressor once supplied air conditioning in a vehicle, but by tomorrow, it will become part of Banjeng's dive equipment. Despite having witnessed his father's condition, Lopez has chosen to follow in his footsteps. Today is Lopez's first day of work and his first time diving with the air compressor.
Asake man no makompresor na kay gikami account eh.
Napagkatan.
Although some of them actually know that it's dangerous for them. But it's a question of whether using air compressor now or having difficulty in the future because no one will be able to pay for their expenses or even feed their family.
Like most people in his village, Lopez does not own a boat or an air compressor. He will be diving for a neighbor who is moderately wealthier and will pay him proportionately to his catch.
Some of the owners of the fishing boats compel these fishermen to stay longer times at the bottom. And then since these people are poor and they cannot do anything about it, they are at the mercy essentially of the captain of the boat, the owners of the boat.
The mask, the homemade fins, the spear gun he will be using, and even his half-torn wetsuit was borrowed from a friend.
Bating ka pagtaon ng compressor eh.
Without formal training, Lopez learned various techniques by watching others at work. He twists the hose around his body so that he will not lose this lifeline underwater. As the crew cranks up the compressor, Lopez takes a moment to prepare himself. Lopez's boss gives the go-ahead. Within 10 minutes, Lopez has to surface.
And in some cases, the compressor is in the boat and then you have oil in there. And in some cases, I even saw some of the boats, some of the oil is already leaking into the tubes and then they get to the mouth of the fishermen.
Lopez finds it difficult to breathe through the tube. He spends the rest of the morning on the boat, nursing a headache and suffering from nausea. He will not be paid today.
Compressor? Yes.
Compressor diving is a double-edged sword for the Bajau people. It has been their main source of income, but it is also the cause of much heartache for many.
Baikaut.
Ati ay gi.
Naitala pa kalabay may akaut.
Kika is only in her early 20s, but already she has been made a widow.
Baikaut.
Ati ay gi.
Naitala pa kalabay may akaut.
Today, Kika is looking to speak with her husband's colleagues in the hopes of finding out exactly how he died. She remembers the night before his death vividly.
Albayano amala na yami akaw. Oo, banga yami akaw. Nayuki pahap ka. Daka angay no. Daka yaynaan. Iyuko niyay. Nambulambi maya. Ita, pakamela magbono. Magkahap bayag bono.
When we train divers, we keep telling them, prior to a dive, do not drink alcoholic drinks because it will actually predispose you faster to nitrogen narcosis.
Narcosis produces a state similar to drunkenness. This impairment of judgment is the most dangerous aspect of nitrogen narcosis, as it causes divers to act in a reckless manner. Kika's husband had consumed a substantial amount of alcohol hours before his last dive. Narcosis is likely to be one of the causes of his death. It has been a year since Kika's husband died, but it is only now that she finds the man who dived with her husband. He tells Kika her husband was pressured to catch more fish because he was facing financial problems. Against the advice of his colleagues, he dived deeper than usual that day.
Naya ma anak mareo ati patun. Naya rumi.
Amana mareo.
Ah.
It's like, taking a McDonald's straw, linking them out underwater all the way to the surface and trying to draw air from that thin straw. Firstly, the breathing will not be as efficient as compared to scuba divers. Secondly, the aircon compressor, it delivers air to 5 to 6% at the same time, right? The power it takes to generate the compressor to pump the air at the pressure to them, it's not going to be as efficient.
Kika's brother is now the breadwinner of the family. He too works as a compressor diver.
Na ako haling niya, yung kay minsan ka pahap ka, palaman na makanako. Alam mo yan niya, kakaran ko, alo ka. Na, say kaya balaso sa karanakan ko.
Like most of the men in the village, Banjeng is the sole breadwinner of his family. His wife and 4 children eat whatever he catches. When Banjeng has excess fish, he either sells them or trades them for other essentials. It has been a few days since Banjeng's last dive, as his compressor was broken.
Compressor? Yes.
Today, he needs to make up for lost time.
Kaning compressor, kaning kamot lang ka sa ilawom. Ana, baka isda man jud ka, makabaligya, makakwarta jud ka nagabuntag. Ana na ko sa mabaw na. Ana ra ko sa kapindok para. Basta na yung mga bato-bato.
Poverty causes Banjeng to improvise. Unable to afford proper dive equipment, he makes his own.
Ako lagi gamaan eh. Nanay, isda di soli mo re. Buka-buka mo ni kasi na may guma. Pag ana na, ubalik mo na siya kaya na may guma. Pagkadagay isda, di man kakaagi na dire. Ini wala sa tindahan eh. Mismo kami may bugama gitu eh.
A quick prayer, and it's time to go under. While he dives underwater, his wife stays on the boat to mend the air compressor.
Dua ka oras, tulo ka oras. Sa ilawom, depende na mo sa ganahan me. Ana, basta kimabaw. Pwede 4 ka oras. Ana, musaka lang ka diyo, to sigarilyo. Salom na pod. Ana, Depende sa kanang mulahutay mi. Kanang mulahutay mi salom mo na mabot mi kadlawon. So kanang kapuy-kapuyan mi, adi mi mabot og kadlawon.
Banjeng has been diving since the afternoon, but the night dives is what he really looks forward to.
Gabi mulmul, ana timbungan, ana di man na mo kuha nga sa kanang pareha na to ba nga natulog, magpuyo ra man na. Di naman mudagan bisag mahayagan na siya, bilang mulmul. Bisa pagkuhito ni muna. Di na kay mudagan.
Banjeng leads a simple life and works hard to support his family. He is well respected and an honest man, but also an unlikely perpetrator of a crime.
Ay nga, bawal lagi ang compressor. Kaya nga kung anong, bawal man ang compressor nga. Ang pagpang-compressor. O nakasabot ang compressor, delikado sa itong lawas, o agtota sa ilawom. Pero anhara ka sa mabaw. Walay, kuhan basta anhara ka sa...
Even though he only dives in shallow waters, Banjeng's body is already showing signs of nitrogen buildup, but he chooses to believe that age is the reason for his physical pains rather than compressor diving.
Kaning gulang na ta, nana yun na kuhan. Yung sakit. Kaya itong bag-o gali nga, diri mi ani, kani akong ani. Kani ang pa ani. Kini, kung kini na ho ani. Mura siya kanang dili sakit ikaw niya ang kuhan niya ba na murag muana bitaw?
If you ignore small or minor problems, of course you run a risk of getting the type 2 decompression sickness. You will basically have full body paralysis. You can't move it yourself at all, and that may be a permanent damage. Second thing is you might convulse while underwater. The worst case is immediate death.
Tonight, with Banjeng's bountiful harvest, he will be able to sell the fish and provide for his family. For now, the Bajau people see no option other than to live off the sea and engage in compressor diving. But with more Bajau children being educated, perhaps the next generation will no longer have to risk their lives to make a living. For Banjeng, it's all about family.